Hey, it's Dr. Karin, and we're going to be addressing the age-old question, why do you keep attracting narcissists? Believe me, no judgment from me. I've attracted many myself. I want to give you some key points on how to navigate yourself away from this toxic relationship pattern so you can start embracing healthy relationships. Let's get to it. First of all, this topic is near and dear to my heart because I've also had a life where I've attracted narcissistic relationships, so I feel you. And what I want to give you first as we begin to dive in is a lot of compassion and a lot of grace because I know the journey has been tough. And what's rooted in this is actually something that's not your fault. And it's a behavior pattern that you learned likely from your childhood home, likely from a significant parental relationship that was narcissistic. This doesn't mean all of you have, but my guess is a great number of you, if you're here and you keep attracting narcissists, you likely normalized this kind of dynamic in your childhood home and it became the way that you learned to receive love. So what is a narcissist? A narcissist is someone that has a really overinflated ego. Now, the word narcissist is tossed around a lot right now. Now, I have a PhD in counseling and education, and we used to diagnose people that had severe narcissistic personality disorder, otherwise known as NPD. Now, a really small portion of the population actually have full-blown NPD, has a really distinctive set of criteria. It's very pervasive and it gets in the way of life in a really big way. So the word narcissist, as we're using it here today, is probably going to include people that have NPD, but it's also going to include a range of people that just have narcissistic traits that act narcissistic more often than not. So the chances that you run into people that tend to exhibit these traits in relationships to try to get what they want, to have power over you, and that is who we're talking about. That's who we want you to stop connecting with and attracting. So a person that is on the narcissistic scale tends to not have the ability. Now, full-blown narcissists have total inability to feel any emotion towards you that's empathic, that's actually loving. Everything is geared in their favor. Everything is there's a tremendous amount of abusive behavior and skewness. I have been through that, and when you've been through that, it's extremely traumatic, and maybe you're going through it, and if you are going through it, again, so much compassion for what you're going through. But the dynamic that you've learned to tolerate, that you've learned to agree to in this relationship is something that you've learned to normalize. And what happens when you meet a narcissist, again, overinflated ego, inability to really feel a deep amount of empathy for you, inability to be reciprocal in the relationship for long periods of time. What they end up doing is something called gaslighting, which is when they end up kind of using things that you're saying to be true kind of against you to make you feel like what you're saying can't be true. They're trying to flip your words upside down and make you feel like you're the one that's going crazy. And then normally what happens then is you go crazy. And they bring out this worst side of you, and then they have more ammunition to make you feel bad about yourself. And what happens then, through manipulation, there's often a lot of lying. There's often a lot of grandiose behavior in public. So when you first meet them and when others meet them, they seem like the life of the party. They have so much to say. People are always gathered around them. They're taking these great trips. They have this great job. They're usually bigger than life, which is why you probably were attracted to them in the beginning. This personality is one that masks who they really are. This is one that they present publicly, maybe at work. And so when you're going through this relationship or this detachment from a narcissist, it is pretty rare that everybody in their world has also seen this in them, except for those that have gotten really close to them like you. So know that you're not alone. A lot of people have gone through this. I'm kind of seeing it as an epidemic right now. But what I want to help you do is to really see those telltale signs and realize how important it is that you garner your own self-purpose, your own self-confidence up enough to walk away from relationships that are not good for you. They're not healthy for your soul. They're not healthy for your physical body. They're not at all the kind of relationship that you were born on this earth to be in. So why do we stay in narcissistic relationships? Why do we keep attracting them? It seems so crazy to people on the outside, but believe me, I know how easy it can be when you're coming in because they give this false sense of this perfect relationship. They often make you think like you're the only one they've ever fallen in love with this deep. They boost you up in the beginning and tell you how amazing it is. But what you start to realize over time and as you reflect back is that there was not so much of a genuine feeling there. What they were actually doing is doing it for their own good. There's a boosting of your self-confidence and making you feel like you're this magical being and that you're magical together, because what they see in you is someone that is probably easily, you care about people, maybe too much. You care about people's feelings, and so you're very willing to maybe give up your own stance. And then there's this slow manipulation as they then find a way to start controlling things in your life and start belittling you and start making you feel smaller than you came into the relationship feeling. And this is an effort where the narcissist then gets bigger and bigger and the person ends up feeling less and less. We don't want that in your life anymore. So let's talk a little bit more about how to navigate this process. So the process has begun in the beginning. If you remember when you were in that honeymoon phase, you were really romanticizing who they were, right? And you ended up romanticizing this idea of what was going to happen. As the breakdown happened, you ended up realizing this person was turning things around on you, and whenever you spoke up, you ended up being belittled. And then maybe if you kept agreeing to it, you likely normalized this behavior. And if you're one of the majority of people, you actually learn this from the way your parents interacted. It's usually the father that's the narcissist, but very often it can be the mother, it can be either gender. But let's say you witnessed, if you're the female like me and you witnessed a male in the relationship being the narcissist over the female, you witnessed maybe your mother giving up her power. You witnessed that love had to be earned and that you were always trying to kind of win love back. And you went through this cycle of being criticized and then kind of maybe being love bombed, where then you were super loved because you did something great that satisfied them. And then the next minute you were flipped on your head and you were made to feel crazy. And there was never really a validation of being loved for who you really were. There's never a sense of security. So this becomes a normalized feeling, and there's a lot of chaos when you're with a narcissist. The chaos because they really feed off of the engagement of the chaotic dynamic, because they tend to always win because of their manipulation, and they've gotten such power over you that that control factor has become really, really strong. So there's this feeding energy that happens. And what happens to you? You end up feeling so bad. You feel like you're going crazy because you end up acting crazy. You feel like less of a person than you were. You maybe slowly are losing your friends, your sense of self. You're not dressing like how you used to dress anymore because they won't let you wear those clothes anymore. They won't let you hang out with certain people anymore. They're looking at your phone. All the things are happening. And you end up feeling like less than you arrived in the relationship feeling. So that's the first thing that we want to get back to start negating this pattern you have of attracting a narcissist. The first thing that I want you to really take hold of, which is super hard to hear, but it's the game changer for you, your responsibility in this attraction. So once you realize this, you can't go back and blame it on everybody else, all right? So while you may have normalized it and you didn't know better and it was part of you recreating this family dynamic that you learned growing up, point is now you're gonna have to know you're half responsible for that agreement. You're the other half of that relationship. And when you start to see those red flags and those signs of control, those signs in the honeymoon stage that it's too good to be true, and they're love bombing you, telling you they love you on the third date, and all of a sudden telling you you're the only one for them ever, and that, you know, y'all are the best thing ever, and they've never felt love like this, and it's just too much too fast. It normally is. Real loving relationships, they can be very passionate at the beginning. You can feel love pretty quickly. It's not that it doesn't feel like it, but it's not this tremendous excessive love bomb. Real long-lasting loving relationships have a beautiful period of growth. They feel super passionate and they're amazing. And if they're your soulmate, if they're a soulmate in your life, you're going to feel this tremendous connection with them and you're going to be excited. And yeah, there's a rapidness in the beginning. There always is. But then there's not a falling off point, right? There's not a place where you start getting negated and all of a sudden things drastically shift. Because what happens in a narcissistic relationship is you idealize the person based on who they pretended to be when they showed up. So you carry through the relationship continuously trying to retrieve, am I right? This person that was so amazing, that was there for the first, let's call it a few weeks, a few months before the devil in them ended up showing up at your door. In a normal relationship, the one that you want to attract, you got to start believing that relationships can have a slow growth period. They can feel passionate and wonderful and all those things, but there's a patience involved. There's a period where you get to learn who they are and they get to learn who you are, and there doesn't have to be chaos. Because see, when you're used to that narcissistic dynamic, you've likely become somewhat addicted to the narcissistic chaos. The highs and the lows, they're very, very high and they're very, very low. There's periods of love bombing and periods of significant abuse and manipulation when they're in their worst form. When we get in those cycles, we get this normal kind of high, low, it's a lot like an addiction. So part of the process of you taking a responsibility for your leaving this pattern, if you've had it, is being willing to detox from this chaotic dynamic. Now, what happens is the chaotic dynamic, and I know because I'm speaking from my heart because I have been here. It's almost like taking a drug, because when you get that high, that love bombing, that's a cycle of abuse. There's that period of romantic love bombing where the narcissist kind of feeds you and you get this very full sense of love, and you get a very skewed sense that you've won love back. And then what happens is maybe you speak up, maybe you do something wrong, whatever it is, and then that event happens, and then they get triggered and they get super angry and they unleash all of that pain, which is actually inside of them, which is actually a deep insecurity that they're projecting onto you, that they're covering. And then there's this chaotic loop of high and then low, and it's very, very abusive. If you've gotten used to it, you've normalized something that is not good for your mind, body, heart, or soul. And if you're here today, there's no mistake that you're ready to hear these words. It's your responsibility to shift it. And that's gonna take a detoxing from this chaos. When you start dating again or start attracting a new relationship, or even just spending this time alone, which by the way, it takes time to heal, I want you to be very aware that just like someone that's taking a hit of something that's of a substance, you got very used to taking these hits of these love bombing highs and lows, and your body and your heart just need time to detox. And that's a time when you give yourself TLC. And in this detox period, there's a period of grief, okay? Letting go of the narcissist and letting go of that dynamic and really deciding to change means you're letting go of the idea of what you thought this person was going to turn into. And that is calling on you to grieve something that you really believed was going to be true, because you likely are very empathic and very loving. And that's why the narcissist saw you as a target, because you were feeding that ego that they so needed to feed, but it's insatiable. They're not changeable unless they have some major life event, which is a very small amount of them, and they have this cataclysmic decision, which has to be in place, a decision to change. It can't be your decision. It can't be you pushing them to attend a conference or read a book. None of it's gonna stick unless they make the choice because of a life event that they experience to change. So releasing the need to save them, because you're not going to change them. They're not going back to who they were. Who they were in the beginning was not who they really are. What is happening now is who they really are. And by the way, the vibration of who they're showing you that they are now is not a match to the vibration that you expected or that you carry. That's why it feels so bad. Your soul is not in agreement with the treatment that you are receiving, and it is up to you to make the choice to break this cycle, because it is not serving your soul. It is not serving your highest good. It is actually asking you to continuously dip your vibration to the lowest point of feeling like crap, of feeling ashamed, of feeling fear, all those things. You are living in a vibrational state of consistently returning to the lowest state of consciousness. And you cannot be your fullest sense, that is so, the fullest you, fullest self, that is so lovable and so deserves reciprocal, healthy love in the world. So today is the day that you make the shift and you decide you're gonna grieve what you thought was gonna happen. You're gonna feel those feelings. Take a few weeks to do that. Maybe it takes a month or two, and that's totally fine. Get the support that you need to grieve that last relationship, because if it was a true narcissist, that energy is likely still around you, and it takes healing. Go on your computer and write them a letter that you're never gonna send them, because again, they're never gonna hear your point of view. You're never going to convince them of your opinion, ever, okay? You, though, can get rid of the energy that is in your body by expressing it. Have your good cries. Talk to your therapist, talk to your best friend. Don't go to all of his friends or her friends. Don't go on social media. Don't go and spout off to everybody, because what you're doing is feeding this old cycle then that you really want to leave. We want to keep this energy to a minimum and stop expanding it by sharing it with the world. Keep it in a sacred space with your trusted BFF or counselor, with your trusted letter that you're never going to send them. Just keep getting it all out, all the things that hurt you, all the things that you really wish you could say, but they're never going to hear. Let yourself hear them. Move the energy. All that energy needs to be in its natural state of movement so you can heal your body. Grieve the situation, and then you'll know when you grieve it, because you'll stop being so focused on all the specifics of that last narcissistic experience, and you'll be able to see the relationship from a broader perspective. You'll be able to see it and understand maybe its reason for being in your life, which, by the way, it was here not to punish you, but this relationship was accepted into your life on a soul level so that you could grow and learn the lesson. In my opinion, and in the work that I've seen working with clients all over the world, is people that continuously attract narcissists and want to find healing, the part of your soul that's asking to be healed is the part around self-love. Because when we're with a narcissist, our self-love is so diminished, it actually almost disappears, because they want to talk it out of us. They want to just somehow beat it out of us in whatever way that looks to them, because self-love is power. And your power has been taken away in that relationship. And what we want you right now to go back to is a road to empowerment, a road where you're attracting healthy love that has a beautiful, slow runway of learning about each other, no chaotic loop of toxic fighting and dynamic. But when your self-love is attracting a partner that matches the amount of love that you have for yourself, not the love that says, I want to fight, I want to win love, I want to be in the same dynamic. No, you've got to find a way to let your self-love grow. And so the way that you do that now, as you've left this relationship, as you've released the toxicity of having that dynamic in your life, one of the other things I'd like for you to do, first of all, very simply, refuse to engage with any narcissists that were in your life before and block them across the board if you can. Now, if this is a former spouse, I know you still have to interact with them because of the kids. If you have kids, if you still have to interact with them, keep it to a minimum. Keep it to stone cold answers, just 2 or 3 words at a time. Do not interact with them emotionally. This is a firm decision, a commitment that you have to make to yourself, because if not, you're going to start feeding that again and you're going to start another loop. Also, block them on social media and block yourself from seeing them in any way that you can. Make a commitment to yourself that you're not going to go and look at their social media. I know I've been there. The worst thing that you can do is look at a narcissist's social media, because a narcissist loves to shine on social media. They're going to be posting pictures of this falsely magnificent life of them taking trips and doing all the magnificent things, and it's going to trigger the bleep out of you. So do not make a pact with yourself that you're not going to go and check any past narcissist's social media, because it will always 100% of the time serve to be a negative trigger for you. Instead, expand your own life. Start doing things that you love. Because when you start doing things that you love, you're going to attract that person or those people into your life. If you want to date around, maybe you just want to be on your own for a while. You're going to attract people and experiences and opportunities that match the level of self-love that you're holding. So you have the opportunity right now. Start treating yourself the way you want to be treated. Put roses by your bedside. Drink out of the nice china glasses. Get yourself a new set of dishes if that person lived with you. Redo something in your life that reboots you. Maybe it's a new set of linens, maybe it's a new set of dishes, something that reclaims who you are. Get a set of dishes or sheets or blankets that they actually would not like. Get something that is all about you, that says, this is who I am coming out into the world. This is bold me showing the world how much I deserve to be loved. Now, before I give you the final tips on how to stop for good this cycle with narcissists, if you like this video, please go ahead and click the like button. And if you want to receive more videos on how to heal yourself and move forward and attract the relationship that you really deserve, subscribe to my channel so you get those videos as soon as they come out. Let's go back and finish up. The final thing that I want you to do is something energetic. As you are going into your mode of self-love, it's going to be really important that you go ahead and energetically remove this past relationship from your life. And I want you to do this, if this aligns with you and feels good, through a meditation, a prayer, setting the intention that you're blocking all narcissistic in the past and any narcissistic energy in the future by cleansing your field. Ask Archangel Michael, take a salt bath afterwards if you can. That's great for clearing your energy field. Ask Archangel Michael to come in, clear your energy. Ask that any energy that was leaked off of you, that was taken from you during those relationships, be brought back to you from each of them. See each of them passing back to you. The energy, receive your energy back, because often we fracture ourselves when we're in those relationships. And then key, that you return all energy that belongs to them that still may be stuck in your energy field back to them. See yourself, and you can use your hands energetically, any energy with compassion and love for yourself, no judgment, returning that energy to them. Thank them for the experience that is helping you to grow. And then energetically ask that a metal wall be put between you and any narcissist from your past. Picture it going up because they can't penetrate it. If you're ready for this, and if you're watching this, I think you are, this means you can't go snooping back and start the energetic loop again, because once you do, you got to do this all over again. But this is going to stop you for good from interacting with them and exchanging energy. Ask that an energetic wall, a bubble of protection be put around you that protects you from any energy energy that resembles this in the future so that you can go forward and start attracting that behavior, that love dynamic, that reciprocity in relationship that feels really good to your soul, that can be a long-lasting relationship that your heart really craves. I hope these tips and tools have given you really strong clarity and given you strength so you can navigate yourself away from any more narcissistic relationships and embrace the relationships that you truly deserve. Now, if you really like this kind of content, if you really love hearing about how to finally let go of negative relationship patterns and embrace new ones and attract the love of your life that you really desire, I have a masterclass coming forward that is going to be totally free. That's going to be all about activating this rebel soul inside of you that's no longer going to agree to how you used to do things and want to activate things on a new level. It's totally free. Click the link below to jump into that class. I can't wait to see you there.